Good morning and welcome to Namaste today, a sunny way to begin your day. I'm your heartfelt host and the Sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki. Welcome to the summer solstice, my friend. Namaste. Now, in fairness, I have to do a shout out to our Southern Hemisphere residents, where today is the winter solstice. But universally on Earth, we're at step 0 of Cancer today, transitioning into our emotional part of our life and moving on to the story we were born to live. In today's Zodiac weather, I'll talk about the planets and what Cancer looks like. And later in our tea time, since it is the summer solstice, I think it's time for a LightWalker address. But first, let's take a look at today's moods and your Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. And my global forecast for planet Gaia is cloudy and spaced out today. The sun shifts to Cancer for 30 days of emotional reflection, and the moon moves into Gemini for a final reflection of last month's lessons. Let's take a look at the planets. As you wake up today, step 0 Cancer rules the day. This is the summer solstice, as the sun is directly over the Tropic of Cancer. It also means we're now shifting into our annual review of our emotions. This is when I like to say the tide is high, my friend. In the next 30 days, you'll be emotionally reflecting on what we have learned so far this year. And given the year we have had, there's a lot of emotions to catch up on. Now today, speaking of emotion, we begin in steady Taurus, so the first part of today will probably feel very balanced and solid. But as the evening progresses, the moon will move into Gemini, and you'll have a lot of soul emotional reflection of all the thinking and attitude changes you made in the last 30 days. In fact, we're on a 36-hour countdown now to the new moon and light cast day, which will be early on Friday morning. So this reflection in the next 36 hours is likely you setting your intentions for how you wish to feel and how you want the feelings of your life to change. In simple terms, now that we just spent 30 days correcting our mental approach, our attitude, and releasing our prejudices, it's now time to take 30 days reflecting on how we feel about these changes. And as you probably know, our thoughts tend to move a lot faster than our feelings. We tend to have our feelings catch up to us. And so in these next few days, you likely may feel your life sort of catch up. So I'm giving a little diagnosis here. Try to take it easy on yourself until next Monday. I'm not kidding. In fact, if you can take a summer vacation, this is the best time to take a summer vacation because we may be a little woozy from all the spiritual growth we've done in 1 year alone. Today is also the last day of a 6-day yod that has been helping us to understand what is fair, what is balanced, and where to find the harmony in our life. And I am guessing here as an astrologer that as the moon goes through Gemini and your feelings reflect all these different thoughts, you'll be making up your mind about what is fair and therefore understanding where to go next in your own personal story. In the last 24 hours, Mercury has caught up and passed the sun now. It had been retrograde and taken back behind the sun. Now that Mercury is ahead of the sun, we shift from thinking about our past to thinking about our future. And Mercury is in Cancer, and so now we will be racing ahead with our thoughts about how our future may be or not be, and that particularly focuses on how we may feel in the future or how we may not feel in the future. So we'll be processing our feelings. The good news is Mars is way ahead in Cancer, and today is at step 11. And if you've had a hard time in these last 10 or 11 days here in Gemini as we wrapped up, it was probably due to Mars in Cancer basically trailblazing and stirring up all the gunk at the bottom of your subconscious pond. But now that Mars has reached step 11, all that gunk is floating, and at least you can see it now, okay? Plus, with step 11, it also means that our emotions will be coming to a tranquility, we'll be finding our integrity, we'll be finding our emotional balance. And that's really good because we want to go into this Cancer season really being able to emotionally ascend above our lower vibration and find a new emotional foundation for ourselves. This new emotional foundation really represents everything we have gone through so far in 2017. And that leads me to today's tea time topic. Since it is the summer solstice, since we are halfway through the year, I thought it would be time for a LightWalker address. So go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is my LightWalker address. What I like to do from time to time, usually 2 times a year really, is give what I call a LightWalker address, which is to basically speak on where I see this generation of light going. As you know, I myself am here to try to ascend in this lifetime and try to share all the information I acquire in my own personal ascension. And so, for those of us who've been at this for a long time, we are really coming to a new head in our personal stories. And I'm going to go into this with all the planets. First, I'll say, though, from my private reading business, most of my clients through this last 2 or 3 months have all been describing the same thing. They've come to an end in their journey. Many of them are not knowing where to go next, not knowing what is next, but they all sense that there is something coming, and so most people feel in this transition. And in those cases, I always outline what their chart says, their personal mission on Earth is, and I talk about their past life history and what they're attempting to achieve in this life. And for most people that I've been reading, most people who have been doing this, let's say at least since the 80s, thinking about spiritual progression, they are really now coming into a new level of their personal enlightenment. And I think the planets really reflect that. For those who have just discovered this LightWalker journey, many are having their first breakthroughs now and beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel and beginning to see where their journey may unfold. So we have 2 levels of opening up here in the light. Those who are basically ready for self-mastery and those who are beginning the process of self-mastery. Now, that said, I like to look at really where our progress is in terms of the planets. And when it comes to looking at our age and how far we have come and what era we are in or not in, really, you have to look at the outer planets and their transits. So today, I'm looking at Saturn, Uranus, Chiron, Pluto, and Jupiter. Now, it really all starts, I think, with Chiron. All of these planets are in the final degrees of their transiting signs. So these slow-moving planets are all ready to wrap up transits they have been in for a long time, which means several of our inner stories are all coming to a head now at the very same time, which means we are ready to grow and shift much more dynamically and radically than we usually do. Chiron is the planet that tells us what area we are fixing, what area we are healing, repairing, and restoring back to integrity. Chiron is currently in Pisces, which is our spiritual identity, our subconscious, and our spiritual potential. You could also call Pisces the consciousness that stores our karma, which I believe it does. And Chiron entered into Pisces in 2010, and as of today, Chiron is at step 28 Pisces. This is very important and powerful because step 28 is I manifest. This is the step number and the degree at which we manifest our solution from the entire transit. So Chiron is the story of our soul's healing, and it's in my opinion that looking at the dynamics of how manifestation works, we can't really move anywhere until we heal our old wounds. So Chiron last went direct on December 1st of 2016 and has been moving forward this entire time. and Chiron will go retrograde on July 1st, so in just a couple of weeks here. And so basically, for the last 6 months or so, we have been gently healing our spiritual potential, which is very important because it sets up for everything that's possible. And we have been letting go of our old wounds. So as of July 1st, Chiron will retrograde at step 28, which means we will have completed and manifested what we consider healed karma. Now, when I say healed karma, I do want to give a little disclaimer here. By healed, I mean it has been presented to us. We've had the opportunity to bring peace with it. There's nothing else the universe has to show you in regard to these past life patterns and deep subconscious issues. If you choose to continue it from this point, it's your own free will. But I do believe that we have been released from most of our subconscious spiritual trauma, which is what karma is. So the universe has been cleaning us up, as you see. Now, another story that's going on has to do with Uranus in Aries. Uranus is the innovation planet. It tells us we're being forced to innovate, and it also forces the absolute truth to come out. Uranus in Aries has been plowing the story of who you really are. Uranus has been forcing us to come to terms with who we really are and who we want to be, and that means we've had to come to terms with our behavior and the actions that we take. Uranus first entered into Aries in March 2011 and has been working to build our character this entire time as Chiron was simultaneously sweeping away our karma. So as you can hear, the universe has been working to erase our old wounds and build a new inner character of who we are. Uranus is currently at step 28 also. So we are also at the same step where we are manifesting this final character that we've been working on since 2011. And Uranus will continue to build our character through the summer. In fact, Uranus will not retrograde until August 3rd. So to give you a little forecast on the big trends, as of July 1st, your healing is complete. And from July into August 1st, you'll be completing and putting the final touches on this new character and this new behavior plan with Uranus in Aries. And then Uranus will retrograde and set us free at that moment to go experiment. So thus far, we have the story of our soul's healing, and we have the story of who we really are. Now enter the planet of Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn in Sagittarius has been pushing us to learn the story we were born to live. Okay, not who we are, but what we're going to do while we're here. And Saturn has been working on us to find the story we were born to live since 2014. But went into the higher degrees and conjuncted the galactic center the last time it was direct, so we had touches upon what this story actually looks like. Currently, though, Saturn is retrograded, so that means that as our character is moving forward, our story is still retrograding and moving backwards. And Saturn will continue to retrograde all the way back to step 21 when it starts to get fun, when it goes direct on August 26th. So what this says is that here from the summer solstice forward, you will be developing your personal character. You'll be standing on this new healed soul version of yourself, this new karma-free version, but you won't actually move ahead with the story you were born to live until August 26th. And funny enough, that August 26th date comes right after the Great American Solar Eclipse on August 21st. That solar eclipse will be in Leo. And can you guess what step number that solar eclipse will be? That's right, it will be step 28 Leo, which means on that solar eclipse, we'll be manifesting our heart's intention, which is Leo. So you can basically see the universe putting all these pieces together. Our karma-free self, the new character and person we were born to live, and we hold off on the story we were born to live until we also manifest what our heart's intention is in August. Basically, looking ahead through the summer, it seems that this is about putting the final pieces of yourself together before we move ahead with the story you were born to live on August 26th. Now, we have in front of us Cancer, and then we have Leo before that happens. In this Cancer season that we're about to live, it's my opinion that we need to emotionally catch up with all these changes. It's going to feel different to be karma-free. It's going to feel different to be this new character that we are becoming. It's going to feel different now that we see the story we're born to live is changing, even though we're not quite sure where it's going. And there's one other element which I want to add here to the mix, which is Jupiter, which is direct in Libra. So Jupiter went direct on June 10th. It had been retrograded since February 6th. And Jupiter in Libra is basically fighting for your life's harmony, your life's fairness, and the appropriate relationships in your life. So as you work on yourself and clear out your emotions, you'll also be finding that sweet spot of what harmony is or isn't. And Jupiter will remain in Libra all the way till October 11th when it enters into Scorpio. So we will continue to be developing our character and finding out what's fair all the way through the summer as we build out. So Cancer will be about us emotionally coming to terms with how our life has changed. And then when we move into Leo, we'll be then shifting to what our heart has to say about all of this. And of course, our heart is the golden egg. It is what we have come here to express and see manifested in front of our eyes. And so August will be very powerful as we begin to detach from something with a lunar eclipse with Aquarius, and then really become super attached with our heart to something on the Great American Solar Eclipse, August 21st. Once that happens, it seems that the story will then shift. At that point, when Saturn goes direct on August 26th, our life will then move into outer world expectation. So for this entire time up through the summer and up through August, I would say we have been working on our inner world, our inner character, making ourselves karma-free, and making things fair inside ourselves. Once Saturn goes direct, we'll be shifting our attention to the outer world, where we'll be attempting to change our outer world and change what's possible in our realities. In fact, that outer world measure can actually be tracked by Pluto. Pluto is in Capricorn and has been for years, since 2010. And Pluto went retrograde in Capricorn on April 21st. So on April 21st, we officially stopped working on the boundaries of our outer world and instead began working on the boundaries of our inner world. We will continue to work on the boundaries of our inner world until September 29th, when Pluto goes direct. So as of September 29th, all of our focus will likely be in the outer world, trying to manifest in the outer world, and moving forward on the story we were born to live. As you can see, as we began that story we were born to live, the one thing that was stopping us was our own self. We had to heal our karma. We had to understand who we really are. We had to get our emotions to catch up with this, and we had to get our heart aligned to the new goal. And it appears, my friend, that we will be moving forward with this spiritual football game once Pluto goes direct September 29th. So in simple terms, in this LightWalker address, Sensei says, your job between now and roughly September is to get your tan on. It's time to get in spiritual shape. It's time to clear out your emotions. It's time to come into your heart, because it will be game on this autumn as we move forward with the story you were born to live. Incidentally, just so you know, Saturn will reach step 28 Sagittarius. So in other words, we will know exactly what our story is that we are manifesting, how this story all crystallizes. So it will reach step 28 on December 4th. So we'll be unfolding this story with twists and turns of our plot and new things coming in basically from October through December. So it's going to be an exciting fall season. Get into spiritual shape. I think this is the reason we were born. All right, my friend and earthly neighbor, that concludes today's tea time. I sure hope this LightWalker address helps you pave the way for your light in the coming months. I do want to remind you that we have a gathering place for Lightwalkers on Facebook. Come on down to namastetoday.club. I will see you in 24 hours with more. Happy summer solstice to you in the northern hemisphere. Happy winter solstice to you in the southern hemisphere. Remember while you're out there that I love you, and to live in your heart, love yourself and others, and be the brightest star you can be.
Live, love, be.